This afternoon is mainly to have the opportunity to exchange with the Professor Stuart Hart, who bring, with the partnership with ESSEC, his knowledge on how to get a close collaboration with communities to get the process as a very adapted process to the poor population.
But we thought it was important to emphasize the idea that it's an enterprise-based approach, first of all. Then that is a tool which deals with corporate strategies, and the idea is to create mutual value. The second idea is to create this mutual value with communities. And third characteristic, to work on the long term.
Terry, thank you very much. Angela, thank you for the introduction. As I think about it, we're on a learning journey, with this whole notion of base of the pyramid. That's how I look at it. The original paper that CK and I did, that came out in 2002, this whole notion of the business at the bottom of the pyramid is really about a decade old. And I think the key there is that there's been a significant ramp up, starting with this draft, and then the founding of the BOP Learning Lab, and then the actual publication of the paper. We've seen a lot, right? I mean, there's been a significant growth in momentum. And one of my measures, one way to know from my point of view that something is really beginning to get traction is when a lot of new terminology and buzzwords are invented to describe essentially the same thing.
Thank you. So let's come back to the mutual value with three key issues: embeddedness, business co-creation, and entrepreneurial process. We could have had a fourth one, which is empowerment, that everybody knows in this room, but the empowerment is one of the key issue of the creation of mutual value. That means that people have to be actors, people have to be agents. Social innovation is linked to technical innovation, to commercial innovations, to financial innovations, to contract innovation. To make a long story short, the idea of the social innovation is to create in a social context new business models and a new commitment of and from all parties, with the idea to learn by action.
And where we're going is toward a different way of framing this whole challenge around creating a fortune with the BOP. Not just finding a fortune at the BOP, but creating a fortune with the BOP. That becomes sort of the dominant theme. Right? And these two problems that I just described are two of the vexing ones, right? How do we address this issue of corporate imperialism and selling to the poor? And I'm going to make the case that embedded innovation, co-creation, and so forth is one important element. That's where the protocol is at least one way of thinking about that. And then environmental meltdown, is another big problem. And if we can't imagine 6.7 people consuming like Americans, let alone 8 or 9 billion, right? It just can't happen. So this is where the idea of converging green technology and base of the pyramid together and then figuring out how to trickle up those innovations becomes potentially so important.
The idea is not selling to the poor. The idea is to business conventionally. It's to co-create a market through the different steps which are described in this slide. And it's quite different to sell a product to poor people and to create with the poor people which are not very easy to touch. I mean, it's difficult to organize the contact with those people, and we have to do so, just to define with them which kind of products, which kind of services they need.
We believe that philanthropy alone is not enough to tackle the issues that CARE is trying to solve. And why we're interested in the BOP is because we think that to create a true lasting impact, we should probably try to combine the efficiency of the markets and also the scale with the social impact that we are able to deliver through philanthropy.
So the basic system is based on tap points. So that means that people are meant to go to the tap points and buy water. They prepay water with tokens, and they buy water from dealers, grabbing ladies, growing water ladies, who sell water to the inhabitants. Out of 40,000 inhabitants, we have started after we have now the result after 1 year and a half to provide water to 6,000 inhabitants, that is 15% of the population. The result was that we did not take time enough to discuss with the population. We did not take time enough to understand for what reason people would rush and buy our water, and we didn't realize how strong would be the social concern about the arrival of this new business within the village. When we did the extension to the second part of the network, the approach was totally different. We decided, first of all, to meet the inhabitants, to check with them through a very thorough and accurate focus group, ask consumers what were their expectations, if they really wanted to have this water come to their place, where they wanted the tap points to be put, what type of service they wanted, what type of payments facilities they would like, and so on. Working with the inhabitants as consumers to make sure that what we are doing exactly fits their expectation is an absolute need.
In the case of Port-au-Prince, you have no water, you have a very weak company, you have a state that doesn't exist. So the solution is quite different. So GRET, with the NGO making this program, has created water committees. These water committees, part of the population, they are representative of the population, manage the system inside the neighborhood. They buy the water to the water company and they sell the water to the population. And you can see the financial cycle, and you can see more or less how the water committee manage the situation.
It's a convergence of different services: financial services, educational services, and social services. And we work a lot with different partners, NGOs, and public authorities. Some results, some social results about our activity today. We did a study last year, and we can see that microcredit has a real impact on borrowers. You see that the situation of 3/4 of borrowers improved in one of these domains, like family situation, housing, professional situation, and budget. Budget is the first impact for borrowers. It helps them to better manage their budget and to avoid over-indebtedness.
Because it really takes the time to understand each other between the community and the company, to learn how to work together, to design with the community the service, the company. So it's produced high innovation by gathering very different people, during enough time for them to produce the new project. And what you are trying to do is to create a highly protected environment to have this possible.
So to me, a successful, the criteria for success is a business concept, right? That's been co-created this way, which means that its value proposition is compelling to all of the parties involved. All of the stakeholders that are associated with it have had a hand in helping to develop it. It's a problem of imagination.